So I just heard Julesy talking about transactional relationship, and I am in disbelief. This was in a conversation with Anwar. If you don't know who he is, he's a dating coach that is really, really popular on TikTok. I believe he has 1 million followers on there. He does insist on interracial relationship. He talks a lot about Black women opening up their options. He's also the dating coach that went viral for charging $10,000 to a woman to tell her to join Hinge. And I believe this conversation is a little older. The video is 1 year old, and I will link it in the description box 100%. But I was very, very surprised to hear Julesy taking a stand against transactional relationships, because she's somebody that I believe that is highly intellectually intelligent. I've been following her ever since she interviewed Michelle Obama. How lucky is she to have sat with one of the greatest minds of our time, right? And I just don't understand, because to me, human relationships are transactional by nature, okay, in their very nature. Now, perhaps Julesy meant like materially or financially transactional. Maybe that's what she meant. And if that is the case, then I get her point, even though I disagree. But just talking about the transactionality of relationships in general, I think is something that isn't debatable. I actually even remember having this conversation with my therapist, right? We always gain something from people. It's not always something material, it's not something that we can quantify, but we always gain something from hanging out with people. This is true even in friendships, right? If you had a friend that was always negative, constantly complaining, always taking jabs at you, at your self-esteem, you would stop hanging out with them. Like, inevitably at some point you would just not like them anymore, because there is nothing to gain out of being with that person or around them but negativity. And that's just how we work as humans. Like, we always gain something from hanging around people, right? There was this famous saying that you will forget what people gave you and what they look like, but you would never forget how they made you feel, or something along those lines, right? Even if the mere gain that we have from hanging out with people is the way that we feel, you have this just very positive and bubbly people. When you're around them, you're always happy. Shout out to my best friend Agnes. That's what I feel, or how I feel every time I talk to her, I'm hanging around her. I just feel very positive. She's hilarious. I always gain something, right? I learn something. So yeah, I was really surprised to hear Julesy say that. I wish she elaborated more her stand and said whether she means that, all human relationships are not materially or financially transactional, in which case, obviously, she's right, like, duh. But just discussing the fact that human relationships are transactional by nature doesn't make sense, because they are, right?
There's no such thing as unconditional love, and there shouldn't be. The closest thing we have to that is the love between a mother and an infant. Now, note how I didn't say a child. And even then, the cynics like myself could argue that even that is an unconditional love, since the mother is getting, the social status that come with being a mother. They're getting to pass down their genes. They're getting to leave behind a legacy. They're getting, to see the smiles and the giggles, the super cute ones that babies always do. And even in this case, the baby is getting something. They're getting their diapers changed. They're getting fed. They're getting to sleep in a warm bed, etc., etc., right?
Like, at the end of the day, relationships are social contracts, marriages are social contracts. Like, there's a reason people break up. At the end of the day, when the breakup happens, it is because one of the people feel that they are not getting what they need, they're not getting what they want. They feel like the other person is not upholding their end of the bargain. One thing I would say though is that I wish those away things were verbalized. I find that we don't always do that. Now, that does happen sometimes in marriages in the form of a prenup, but I don't find that it's always the case in relationship. I remember, for example, in my last long-term relationship, telling the person this and this and this and this and that is what I expect in order to be in a relationship with you. And they agreed to that, but they didn't tell me what they wanted in order to be in a relationship with me. And then obviously the relationship didn't end up working out. But my point is, I'm going to be doing that going forward, right? I think relationship would last a lot longer if we were honest about that and transparent in the beginning, instead of, kind of hoping that the other person is going to be able to guesstimate and kind of read your mind. Like, I wish that we were more upfront about what it is we expect, what it is we want, what it is we need. Like, this, like the woman who expects her man to get her a certain pair of shoes or perfume for her birthday, so she hints at it endlessly, hoping to get it, and then when her birthday comes and she doesn't get that, she's disappointed. But her communication wasn't optimal, in my opinion, right? Wouldn't it have been better, and wouldn't her chances of getting what she wanted would have been higher if she had just told him upfront, babe, this is what I want for my birthday. This is what I expect to get. Can you get it for me? Like, do you feel you have the finances to do so, etc., etc., right? And then he can answer yes, or maybe he can say, you know, right now, unfortunately, I don't have the finances to be able to do so. And, you know, they can come up to an agreement. Maybe I can get it to you for Christmas. You know, that is, of course, if her birthday is before Christmas, etc., etc., right? Yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. Y'all get my point. I wish we could be more upfront about, you know, what we want, what we need, what we expect before entering relationships. And in education with that, now, this is going to be a real unpopular opinion, but I actually think that there's nothing wrong with women leaving relationships when a man's financial situation changes. I know a lot of people hate that mentality. They're going to be like, why kick a man when he's down? Well, because that's not what I signed up for. Okay? Like, and that's not on that, right? If I get in a relationship with somebody based on him telling me that he can provide XYZ lifestyle for me, or just based on him hinting at it, you know, in the dates that he takes me, in the stuff that we do, in the stuff that he gives me, right? If there is an innuendo that I'm going to be getting a certain lifestyle, and then at some point that person no longer is capable of offering me that lifestyle, I feel that there is nothing wrong with me backing out of that relationship. I feel that's my prerogative. You know, men leave women pregnant every single day. They leave them vulnerable every single day. As a matter of fact, there's a study out there that is very easy to find. You can just Google it, that proves that men are more likely to leave their wife when they are sick than women are. So according to this study, women actually stay with their husbands when they get ill, you know, when they get older towards the end of their life, whereas men leave. Okay, so I don't have any qualms, or I don't feel any qualms about leaving a man whose financial situation changed. That's not what I signed up for. And that's that on that. But we're getting further away from the subject of this video, which is that human relationships are transitional by nature. And I'm going to make a dedicated video about why I feel like women shouldn't feel any type of qualm about leaving a man whose financial situation changed, if that is, you know, if that was a prerogative before entering the relationship, if that is what it is that they, you know, demanded, or if that was their reason, if that was their motivation for entering the relationship. I don't think that there is anything wrong for them to leave the relationship once whatever it is they wanted, it's no longer being served. But you know, that's just me, okay? Anyways, if you like this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up, and in the comment section down below, let me know, what do you think? Do you think that human relationships are transactional by nature like I do, or do you disagree? In which case, I would love to hear from you, or read from you rather. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel as well, and I will talk to you on Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye girls, thanks for watching. Mwah.